Welcome to Northern Virginia Living. My name is Roya.
Victor.
If this is your first time watching our channel, welcome. Make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe and like below.
We are showing and we're shooting videos for everything about Northern Virginia, where to eat, where to live. We describe the neighborhoods, price points, and everything just to help you if you're doing the research and moving in Northern Virginia or DC, Maryland market in general. So,
without further ado, let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about buying in this crazy pandemic market. As you guys know, or may not know, last year was, a little bit stressful, especially towards the beginning. So a lot of the deals were canceled, and I'm being more specific within Northern Virginia. Right. There were people...
Partly because, the stock market dropped. So it was March, April last year. Stock market dropped. A lot of investors actually pulled out and then decided not to purchase because of, first of all, people were, if their money were in the stock market, so they lost some, I don't know, 10-20%. I don't remember exactly how much. And I mean, it all depends on everyone's investment strategies. But anyhow, so we had a few investors who canceled the deals just because of this. So because a lot of uncertainty in the market during that time. And then with the pandemic, everything changed.
Well, right? It did change, but it did actually change for the good. I mean, people started putting their thinking hats on. There were a few people who decided to go through with the deals, and they decided to either sell or buy. But then we just saw a rush of buyers.
Right. Exactly. So what happened is, yes, sure, during the pandemic, people decided to wait. But we had several buyers. I don't care about the pandemic. I need to find a home. Right. I am just going. We're looking at 3-5 homes. So we're picking the one we're putting the contract in. So it actually helped. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to buy. I'm not. Let me just go and look at the homes. But in reality, so there's people stayed. They did not go out. They stayed home and didn't purchase. But the buyers are actually super serious. Not super serious, but you mean their rental is ending, or they sold their home and they need to move to a new one. So those buyers remain on the market.
Right, and also, sorry to interrupt, but we did see a rush of buyers coming in, mostly because also the interest rates dropped, and they've actually remained low and have gone even down even more. Right. So there has been a trend, and there's going to be more and more buyers. That's the prediction, at least. Right. But right now the market is really hot. So we wanted to cover a few points and just get you guys some information in case you guys are looking to move within the state or from out of state. Right.
So we have 11 tips to help you to buy during the pandemic. So we'll start with number 1.
Okay, do you want to get started?
Virtual showings. So everything changed. I'm guarantee a lot of kids now studying from home online. Your job might have became remote. And that's what happened with real estate as well. We started having remote consultations over Zoom or like this with the camera. And we also started doing virtual showings. We were doing those, but
not as much. During pandemic, it actually really picks up for us.
So most of our buyers who are coming from out of state now, it's all virtual. But there are several buyers who are here local. They just don't feel comfortable walking, especially if it's, let's say, like a condominium building where you share the elevator, there is a lot of people around you. So those buyers also remain home. So what we do, it's a virtual showing. We simply go with the camera. Right. We walk around the house. We describe as much as possible.
But also keep in mind that sometimes the sellers may be home. They'll be working from home. In fact, I had a showing the other day where both sellers were at home. They were working, and their agent actually was there, and I was doing the showing. So whether it's in person or virtual, you still have a chance. Obviously, it might be easier for you to come and see it in person because you really get a good idea of what you will be putting an offer on. But those are the options. These are the realities that we're facing right now during these times.
Right. Virtual, everything goes virtual. That's the point number 1. So consider getting a good camera, consider getting high speed internet, because a lot of times you want to have a crystal clear picture, things like this. So that's the major point, like everything went to virtual.
Point number 2, consider buying a home sight unseen.
It sounds crazy, right? You are buying, you can imagine making such a large investment sight unseen. Like, are we insane? Actually happens all the time. First of all, a lot of times seller will be super cautious and do not want anybody in their house. So yes, they want to sell. No, they don't want anybody to see the house. Obviously, you will go to see as soon as the contract is accepted. You're going to go and do home inspection. There's a lot of other contingencies, so you will have that chance. But consider offering to buy without actually looking at it. So you have to really, like, you have to know that this is specific model, this is exactly what you want. And this is actually, it will give a benefit to
get your offer accepted
without this crazy competition. We'll cover other points, how hot market is right now, but at least you have this upper hand in the negotiation.
Right. And also, what I wanted to add is just don't panic. I understand. I mean, I can completely relate, to how you must be feeling right now if you're thinking, oh my God, like I'm submitting an offer without seeing the property. Right. But in all honesty, you can pull out. Like, the point is to get the offer accepted. And why am I bringing this up? It's because there is a lot of competition. We're not just competing with one or two other buyers. We're competing with 30, sometimes 40, 50 other buyers. So the point is get the offer accepted. The next step would be for us to go see the property, right? And then let's say we do obviously, we would want you to do the home inspection because it's important for us, for the house, for the home, for your next home to be
make sure that it's all in good condition.
Right. So you have chances. Like, we will make sure, we will do everything possible so that you do not lose your deposit. So the whole point is for you to get the deal, and then obviously there's other ways of getting out if it's not the right home for you.
Right. But because of COVID, it's became such a norm where sellers do not want anybody in the house, so they will simply offer the house without actually showing it to you.
Right. Because they know they're gonna have the buyers. They know the market, right? But in all honesty, though, it really depends on your mindset. Like, for us personally, not much has changed. In fact, it's gotten better. Like, you just have to be more cautious. You respect other people's wishes. Obviously, we wear masks everywhere we go. But in all honesty, it's just a different mindset. But it is very possible. We can still pretty much, we can still do the home inspection. We can still, negotiate. Everything is pretty much the same. The only difference is we're just more cautious. So, what's the problem?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Point number 3, it's a hot market. Obviously, we have a lot of competition. Interest rates are at their lowest.
Right. So when you are considering buying, because of COVID, because of everything else, consider making as strong offer as possible, meaning offering minimal contingencies possible, offering above asking, right? And be prepared to walk away.
Right. Don't get your heart set on the home. Like, there's going to be chances, like there's going to be instances where, you really fall in love with the house, but then you don't get it. And so our first advice to you is, don't fall in love with it yet, because we want to make sure we're able to get it. And also, I do want to point out, like, when we offer more than asking price, we do want to be reasonable. Like, we will talk every single detail and we go over all the points with you before we submit. And we want to be reasonable. I recently had, a colleague who got an offer, and they got it for about 100 or 150,000 over asking price.
Yeah, it was interesting. There was a house so it had a pool. So not many homes with a pool are currently on the market. So the buyer went crazy.
Well, they wanted the house really badly. So they went, they went a little overboard, in my opinion. But again, good for the sellers. But those instances happen as well. I mean, it all depends on how badly you want the house. We can make it happen, but at the end of the day, our job is to protect you, and it's to save you money.
Right. So let's give a little bit more detail. So when you offer the above asking price, not necessarily it will appraise. So by offering, for taking this example, $150,000, we can guarantee the house will never appraise at $150,000.
Would you be okay with that, by the way?
And the house was priced within the market. Like, just normal, let's say 6 months, a year ago, would be priced at about the same, slightly less, of course, of the appreciation. But by offering $150,000, make sure you have that at least $1,000 that you can cover over appraisal, unless you buy in all cash. Appraisal still is not catching up that fast to the market that's appreciating. So when you offering that you can make in such a crazy offer, just make sure that financially you're stable, that you have that enough funds to cover. But that's a very good point to consider if you go in above asking.
Right.
So,
which takes us to point
number 4.
All right. So when we do the showings, again, as I mentioned earlier, we are very careful. So we do respect our clients, we respect the sellers, we respect everybody around us. So wear masks, wear gloves, use hand sanitizer. Just be careful. Again, people are more cautious than before, and it's totally great. And again, we work. We work very well with those instances.
Right. So be as cautious as possible, because when we go to the homes, that's not our house. So we just want to be very careful.
We don't touch too many knobs.
Exactly. So seller always requests not to try to open the doors. Obviously, if you have gloves, that's totally fine. But use gloves, use boot covers, masks. Just because, there are a lot of times kids in the house and the
pets.
Yes,
right,
things like this. So be very cautious.
Right.
Use masks. Use boot covers and gloves.
All right.
Yes. Point number 5, expect delays and be flexible. What we mean by expect delays is we haven't had a courthouses. So when you go through the settlement, the deed needs to be recorded at the courthouse. We haven't had any instances where a courthouse is actually closed and they will not be able to record the deed. But it's possible. We don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, but expect some sort of delays. Also, if you're going with a lender, give a little bit extra time just to make sure that the appraisal is ordered on time, everything else, the title has gone through the appropriate searches, because a lot of people, they don't have physical access to the same courthouse or any other documents. So expect delays, and also be flexible. If you're a buyer coming in, seller has many options. So you either can offer a post-settlement, basically seller stays in the house and rents from you as a buyer, as a tenant, and then you come in at let's say 30 to 60 days, or offer to go to the settlement sooner. We don't know what the seller is moving someplace else.
Right.
So be flexible. That's the idea, just because it gives more options during the transaction. It gives more options to you as a buyer to offer
to win the contract. So and those are terms that we can discuss in detail. But again, a seller definitely would appreciate it if you could offer them, rent back at a reduced cost, or sometimes they even go to the extremes where they would want free rent back. But again, those are variables that we can discuss at a later point.
So flexibility is the key here, just because.
Our next point is number 6, which is virtual home inspections. We definitely have that option available. Most of the time, we do them in person, but again, for you as a buyer, we do have that option available where we have the inspector there. He will run you through the points that came up during the inspection, and then again, we'll get you a full market report. We'll get you all the details, and if anything major comes up, we'll bring that up to the sellers, and we'll see if we can further negotiate or whether we want to walk away from the deal.
And we have some buyers, they don't even do home inspections because they walk through the house, they're like, I feel very comfortable. The HVAC is, let's say, 3-5 years old. The roof is replaced. The windows are replaced.
Right.
What else there to do? So some buyers even opt out for not doing a home inspection.
Right.
But if you're, let's say, out of state and you cannot come in their flights or anything delays. So anyhow, this is very possible to do same thing over Zoom and to do the virtual home inspection. So the inspector with the camera just walks around and shows you. And then you get the summary of the report at the end just to show to cover all the points. And then you and only buyer decides either they want to continue with the transaction, they want to withdraw the contract based on this. But again, flexibility, virtual inspections, that's all possible. And we started doing this actually during the pandemic. We didn't do a virtual home inspections like a year ago. There was no point. So now it's just slightly different.
Right.
All right.
Point number 7, who knew that virtual settlements are possible? We recently had a client who was moving from the Northeast, and it was going to be very difficult for them to drive down here for the settlement. So we made it happen through Zoom. We were able to email them all the forms. They were able to sign it. They had a notary available on site. and they were able to mail everything back to us, and we got it settled. So you don't necessarily need to be present for the settlement. It is advisable, but again, there is definitely options available for people who are moving from out of town.
Right. So to give a little bit more details, so there's actually a notary and buyer and the seller, settlement agent. They're basically on the different sides of the camera, not the camera, but on a different location. So what they do, they're like, show me your ID. Here's my ID. They looked at, so the notary will look at the ID. They will compare with the paperwork, and they will sign it electronically. There is also an option. This is an option that's have never happened before. Overseas buyers can sign the same way. You don't necessarily have to be in the U.S. to buy. So you can be anywhere else, and the settlement will go through. Because before, a year ago, you have to be present. You cannot be, or you can sign documents only at the embassies. So now you can actually be anywhere. You can go on vacation anywhere and you can still sign.
And there are services available to have the notary done. We were actually blessed to use to be able to work with a company like that, and we'll be happy to provide you any information if you guys need it. Just comment below. But yeah, that option is available. It's become very convenient for buyers to be able to have all these options available. So where you don't necessarily have to travel for the settlement, obviously.
One more thing, if you're local and you need to go to the settlement, we do go to the office. So there's one person who is signing the settlement agent, and
they are normally very restrictive as far as like who they allow. Sometimes there's only one agent allowed, and then there's actual buyers allowed in there for the signatures.
And additionally, you can do a drive-through settlement. It does sound like a drive-through. So basically, you, without leaving the car, signing documents, the settlement agent is outside, you'll sign a few documents and give it to them and then just drive away. And that's never happened before. Sounds strange. We cannot do this when, let's say, it's cold or rainy outside, but it's always an option. So if necessary, you don't even have to go to the office. If you're here, that's going to be done.
All right, point number 8. So if you are considering moving to Northern Virginia, make sure you do your research. There is a lot of information out there. If you're looking for particular areas in Northern Virginia, let us know. We'll be happy to drive through. We'll be happy to provide you with any information you need. I mean, we've lived in this area for 20 years. It will actually be 20 years this year for me and Victor. So we know the area very well. It's good to have your research done before you actually come in person, or if you want to consider submitting an offer on a home.
Right. So additionally, you do the research not simply because you want to be familiarized with the neighborhood. You want to know the schools. What else? What are the neighborhood activities like parks? But at the same time, because the market is so hot, you might not have enough time to think about, okay, so this is the house, let me look at it, and then think about it for a few days and then come back and then look at it again. Just simply because of pandemic, because of this crazy market, we have no time. A lot of times the house is listed on Friday, the offers are due on Monday. That happens all the time. So you have 2-3 days at most to do the research.
I also wanted to add, this is something that I had to learn the hard way. When you are looking to submit, make sure you communicate with the agent. Make sure you send them a text message or you call them. I normally call them, and you let them know, hey, listen, can you just give me 5 more minutes? I'm writing the offer, I'm submitting. So because you could definitely lose out on this. And this actually happened to me recently, and I definitely learned my lesson. So communicate with the listing agent and let them know that an offer is coming.
Market moves so fast. And to cover our point on number 2, when the offer sight unseen, when you see the house, it's coming soon, you prepare, you know the area, you're coming in. Before even house gets listed on the market, it goes on the contract. So that's what it is. Like, do the research. Like, if you know, let's say you want to live, I don't know, Willowsford, Aldi, Ashburn neighborhood, then that's the neighborhood that you want to be at. Consider those options, like communicate with everybody just because, and explain that yes, the offer is coming and expect it, because know the deadlines, because it moves so fast. Blink of an eye, the house is on the contract. And
another point that I wanted to add is, if you are very serious about buying in a particular in a particular neighborhood, you just mentioned Willisford. I wanted to say, if there is multiple listings and we've done the virtual showing for you, or we've met in person, definitely consider offering multiple offers, because you want to see which one gets accepted, because of the fact what you were just explaining. You have better chances of getting your offer accepted.
Right. Yes. So again, you have options to walk away. We generally don't recommend this strategy, but at the same time, there are buyers who are very frustrated. They would submit several offers, but nothing gets accepted. So again, find a trusted advisor, find someone who knows what they're doing, and then like do the research over and over and over again, because it's
Point number 9, make sure that you shop for the best rate possible, which means, you want to make sure that you lock in the lowest interest rate possible.
Right. To add to this point, make sure the lender is local. Don't pick ABC Bank of something that no one really knows. When you come in with the contract, you want to make sure it's the seller knows the lender, at least heard from the lender.
Right.
And then it's the best idea to actually lender and the agent to talk, to give that confidence for the seller.
Right. Also, you want to make sure that it is not a very large lender. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because you want to be able to access them at any time you need them. If you have any questions, or if the agent needs to reach, let's say, the bank on a Saturday, like Saturday or Sunday. So we have recommendations. We actually have a very good lender that we've been working with for close to 4 years. But yeah, you want to make sure that you work with a reputable lender.
Right. Tying up to the large lender, let's say you have a question on Friday at 5:15. I don't think you're going to get an answer until Monday. And this is very critical time when you want to turn around very quickly. So someone who's local, again, shop for the best rate. Don't pick the online lender because it might not work.
It may not go through even. So let's say you have to write a pre-approval letter, right, on Friday at 5:15 p.m. Who do you think is going to answer, right? So you want to make sure that you have the right person in hand. You are able to reach them for any questions whatsoever. Work with someone who is approachable and who is responsive.
Right, and actually, you don't want to write pre-approval on Friday. You want to have a pre-approval ready before you start shopping.
You do.
But in case something happens, like on Friday, you find like this is the dream house.
Right.
I want this. Happens. You have to do it on Friday. So, but do the research before. Market moves so fast. Pandemic, no pandemic. Just be prepared.
And again, these are all suggestions. You guys are welcome to follow through however you feel like. But in all honesty, the market moves very quickly. We're portraying a very realistic picture of how it is today, and we just want to help you.
So the point number 10, consider buying new construction directly from the builder.
All right, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is some of the builders have perks. So they have benefits, they give some money back, and they also give you some credit for working with their lender. And again, there's definitely some different ways to work on that level. Let's say you go in, you find the house that you're looking for, you signed a deal with the builder, you also sign a contract with the lender. Pretty much the next day after settlement, you can switch to a different lender. So there's definitely options out there as well.
Right. So the point is, yes, the builder will suggest their lender. Yes, they'll try to give you a credit. It sounds like a good deal, but at the same time, the lender might increase your interest rate just slightly bit higher, just to give you that credit. So what I mentioned is you can, after the settlement, you can switch the lender, you can refinance, take as much credit as you want from this particular lender, and then refinance the next day. There is no harm to it, but all has to make sense, because the refinance costs some money, and the lenders, you just want to make sure you're not losing any money. So consider this. Builder offers incentives. The problem with builders, not enough inventory.
There's not that much inventory
just like everywhere else.
Right.
So you might have to wait, let's say 6 to sometimes 12 months if you're going into custom home.
Mm-hmm.
So the benefit of going with the new construction, if you have a unspecified time frame and you want to lock into the current prices, but you would have to wait. So if you currently live in another house, you might be selling and you might be renting, you're flexible on the moving date. Going with a lender or builder, it might be a good idea. Right.
Right. No, I totally agree. It all depends on what type of home you're looking for, where you're looking to buy. So we also have like good connections with a few private builders. So you may have to even look for lots yourself, and then have the builder come and inspect the site, and then determine whether your home, the type of home you're looking for, would be a good fit for that lot. Exactly. Or you can go with new construction again. Like, I mean, we could go with
the big builders like Toll Brothers, Ryan Homes, and things like this. But especially like looking for your own lots. I mean, that's part of the whole process. Let's say we work with you that you're looking to build a new construction. We're looking for new lots, and then we bring the builder do some at least a visual inspection of the lot, and then there's a feasibility study. It's a whole new story with new construction. We'll definitely cover it.
We'll cover that in a future video.
Right. New construction is something very specific, and not many people would go for it because it requires a lot of knowledge and expertise and picking the right builder. I mean, it's a very different story than just buying them.
But the option is there, right?
Yes, exactly. Point number 11.
Make sure you're confident in the future. We are definitely praying and hoping that the market stays like this, the economy stays strong.
Pandemic will slightly decrease. We don't know.
Or disappear.
We hopefully everything will disappear.
Right.
Exactly.
So what we want to say is there's definitely options out there. Just be optimistic. Again, you have the benefit of buying at this point, and things are looking really good. They're looking very up for us.
Right. Exactly. And don't gamble. Meaning, what happened in 2005, 6, and 7, where people like, okay, I'll just buy the house and I'll wait and it appreciates next year 10% and I'll sell. Don't do this. If you buy a house, make sure you want to buy the house just so you can live in it. If you want to buy for an investment, go for it. But buying and hoping, since 2020 up until now, let's say last year, homes appreciate about 10% around entire Northern Virginia area. So can we say that it will appreciate for the same 10%
It's
next
hard to
year?
tell, but most likely.
I want them for the homes to appreciate like this because we own the home and all our clients own homes. But again, if you think like, okay, I'll just buy it and then it will next year I will be higher price and I'll sell. Don't do this. Don't gamble. Because that's not the best way to buy.
And then just to follow up on what you're saying is, I mean, it's a thought process, but yeah, if you're thinking like that, just make sure that you set realistic goals, because at the end of the day, if you are thinking about selling next year, you will have to still pay taxes. You still have to pay out of pocket. You still have to pay closing costs.
There's a lot of closing
really the
costs,
margin,
commission, taxes, everything. Is it really worth it to gamble?
Thank you so much for watching us. If you have any questions or comments for us, please feel free to leave them below. We will make sure that we'll respond to you in a timely manner.
Right. And then like this video, it helps us to promote to a larger audience. We're trying to provide you with as much valuable information as possible. Either you move into Northern Virginia or anywhere else. By the way, if you move into Virginia, we have a buyer questionnaire, perfect buyer guide questionnaire. So complete it. We'll reach out to you right away. We're here to help.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.